Let's start standing today. Since we did so much talking about feet, let's feel them. So you can just stand comfortably. You don't have to be too aware of the distance of your feet or anything. Just take a moment to see how you stand naturally when you're just like the coffee shop stance. And just becoming aware of that, because however you're standing, when it just feels like you're not trying or just standing regular, you can start to become aware of where there is more pressure on your feet. And maybe those are areas that experience pain. Maybe you're locking the knees. Maybe that's how you get knee pain. So just checking in and noticing what's going on. And then mindfully checking each area. So straightening out the posture, straightening out the feet, starting to bring an even or pretty even weight distribution on the feet. It will be probably slightly more toward the heels since our feet are long and our weight is stacking over the heels. Start to draw the inner thighs in and up toward each other so you feel the muscles in your legs start to activate. Slightly tuck your tailbone down and pull your navel in so feel more length in your lower back. Your fingertips can reach toward the ground, so feeling how that broadens the collarbones, has the heart nice and proud. And take a nice cleansing breath. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. Letting your chin just slightly tuck so that it feels like the roof of your mouth could be parallel to the floor, if that makes sense. The back of the neck is nice and long, crown of the head is lifted, forehead and eyebrows relaxed, jaw is soft, the scalp is soft. Each inhale, feel yourself rising a little bit more from the crown of the head. And each exhale, let the soles of the feet root down a little deeper toward the floor. On your next inhale, you can reach both of your arms up over the head and roll out your wrists as you do this. And then you can keep rolling out the wrists. Once you're reaching, you can move the fingers too if you'd like. You can roll in opposite directions. You can freestyle this movement. And as you're reaching up, notice if your ribs start to flare open and your spine starts to arch. And then try to just tuck everything back in. So you're keeping your body exactly the same as how we were when we were standing. It's just the arms that are different. Noticing how that's a little more challenging. Goal is to bring the biceps alongside the ears. Awesome. Now you can find some stillness in the hands and the fingers if you feel ready for that. Reach a little bit taller. Feel the bottom of the ribs coming away from the hips. And then as you exhale, you can swan dive forward, lead with your heart, keep that back nice and flat, and then fold when you need to, bending the knees as you need to. Very generously. This is, ow, oh my God, sorry. Cat just clawed my bum. So keeping the knees really bent, breathing into the lower back. This is probably the best pose for low back pain in any variation. So standing is going to be a little bit more intense than sitting. Letting everything be soft. You don't have to be rigid here. Again, noticing where the weight is on the feet. And the goal of a forward fold is to go forward first. So keeping that in mind and shifting the weight more toward the balls of the feet. Lifting the sit bones a little higher. And then as you inhale, you can rise up to a halfway lift, keeping that back nice and flat. Hands can come to the hips. Inhale here. And then exhale, push your hips forward and bring yourself up to standing with a flat back. So moving with the core really sturdy is going to help with back pain too, the stabilization. Now inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, hinge forward, come into your forward fold. Inhale, half lift, long spine. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale with that flat back, rise all the way up to stand. You can reach the arms up. And then exhale, you can interlace the hands and bend over to the right. Taking a side body stretch to the right. Nice. Trying your best to leave your hips in place. Really notice notice if the ribs are flaring open again, and tuck them back under, just to really concentrate this on the side body. Another breath here, reaching. And then inhale to center. Exhale to the other side. You can switch the interlacing of the hands if you'd like, just so you get the funky version. And letting your shoulders be in neutral position. So they're not hugging up too close to the ears. They're not pulling down your back. Just letting them be where they naturally go. Breathing. This can be a lot more challenging than it seems. Great. And then we'll inhale back to center, reaching higher. Exhale, hinge forward, forward fold. So we'll do that same thing again, one breath per movement this time. When you're ready, inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, release. Inhale, rise up to stand, reaching up. And exhale, bend over to the right. Full exhale. Inhale to center. Exhale to the left. Inhale to center. And exhale, dive forward, forward fold. We'll do that once more, just like that. Inhale to a long spine. Exhale, release. Inhale, rise up to stand. Exhale, bend over to the right. Inhale to center. Exhale to the left. Inhale to center. Exhale, draw your hands to heart center. One full breath here. Checking in, maybe setting an intention. And as you're ready, inhale to reach. Exhale to forward fold. Inhale to a flat spine. Exhale and release. And now, depending on where you are in your mat, you can walk the hands forward or step the feet back into a downward facing dog. Seeing that the hands are actively rooting into the mat, wrist creases parallel to the front edge of the mat, about shoulder width distance. And it's okay if the heels are lifted. It's okay that the knees are bent. You just want to focus on getting the spine as long as possible. And notice how the distance between your hands and feet feel, just when you come into this without thinking about it too much. As in a moment, we'll do something to help the distance between our hands and feet. When you're ready, you can float forward into a plank. Always the option to bring the knees down here. You're kind of in a long tabletop. It's a little, still works the core. Just a few breaths here. And then bringing the knees down. If you need to, lower yourself down to your belly, keeping the elbows close to the ribs. Great. So check in with where your hands are when you land. Are they in front of the shoulders or under the shoulders? And then if they are, move them back to about mid-chest. So you want the fingertips to be behind the shoulders and the elbows to be really close and pointing up toward the ceiling. Okay, and then from here, root down in the tops of your feet and start to push yourself up just slightly so you can come into a baby cobra pose. And then if you would like to, you can come into your up dog here, totally optional. And then regardless, you see if you can, you might have to push yourself up through a tabletop, but see if you can just lift your hips from where you are and come right into your down dog. That is one way to find the right distance for you. And I'll show you another way in a moment. But it's really common to, I think I do this a lot, to step your feet forward just so that your heels can be on the ground. And that's not necessarily the best. It's okay that the heels are lifted. Awesome. So now we can slowly start to bring your knees to hover in a tabletop. And so you want your spine to be really straight, perfect. Collarbones are broad. Great, you're using your core. Awesome, and then slowly allow the knees to find the mat. So your wrists are under shoulders, toes are hidden behind the thighs. You're in your tabletop, so you can take a few cat-cows. Moving with your breath. Option to freestyle if you'd like, doing some rolling action or anything at all that feels good. If you want to stick with your cat-cows and wagging the tail, you can do that too. Just practicing moving mindfully, moving with your breath, and seeing if you can allow your breath to guide the movement instead of the other way around. A lot of the times we'll move and then the breath will come second. So see if you can just let your breath move on its own, and that is what creates the movement in the body. Great. So you can come back to your neutral tabletop as you're ready. And we will do some core work before we come back into our down dog. So you can extend your right leg back so you can keep the toes on the ground for a little calf stretch for a moment. You're really reaching back. And notice if that hip wants to drop at all or come up, and just do your best to keep the hips neutral, even. Great, and then you can walk your left fingertips forward, keeping them on the ground. This can be the first step. If this feels challenging enough, you can stay here. And then if you want to come a bit further, you can lift your foot off the ground, maybe lift the fingers off the ground. So that you feel that really straight line you're creating from either from the heel of your right foot, if you want the foot really flexed, or you can floint the foot, like reaching through, it's like a point flex, reaching through the ball of the foot and all the way through the fingertips. Keep the navel pulled in, so really activating the core. Great. Reach as you inhale a little longer. And then exhale slowly and mindfully crunch in. Elbow comes to knee, lifting the spine into a cat pose. Inhale to reach. If your right wrist is talking to you, you can come onto your fist or activate the hand and fingers even more. Exhale to crunch. We'll do it once more. Inhale to reach long. And exhale to crunch. Doing it slowly is more challenging. Great. And then exhale, release into table. You can shake out your right wrist or turn onto the back of the hand to gently counter that. And then, as you're ready, we'll do that on the other side. So you can just start to extend your left leg, again, reaching through that heel, stretching out the calf for a moment, noticing what your hips do. Maybe your hips want to square themselves to the left or the right. And then walking the right fingertips forward, maybe staying there if that's good for you. Option to lift the foot and or the hand. Just doing what you did on the other side, even if one side feels easier. Reaching really, really long, and yeah, moving into those crunches whenever you're ready. Exhaling to lift the back of the heart. Inhaling to reach, bring the heart forward. Really letting your breath be loud here. And after your third crunch, or whenever you feel even to the other side, you can allow yourself to come back into your tabletop. Okay, so you can do anything to counter the wrist. You can shake the hips side to side. That can feel really nice on the hips. And then another way to get the right distance between your hands and feet in down dog is to start from your tabletop and then bring your palms forward 1 palm distance. So you kind of bring the heel of your hand to where your fingertips were. And then tuck your toes under, lift the hips back and up, down dog. That makes sense. Cool. Awesome. We'll get into some more movement now. As you're ready, you can inhale, reach your right leg back and up. Keep the hips square, feel a nice stretch down the left leg, similar to what we just did in table. And then exhale, knee comes into chest, shift your shoulders over wrists, and place the foot where it comes. You might need to use your right hand to inch it forward even more. That's okay. Step your back foot in at a 45-degree angle, and we'll rise up to warrior one. So doing what you can to create a lot of length in your lower back, feeling your tailbone tuck under. So your hands can be at your hips or reaching up in front of you, and your hips are squared to the front of the mat on this one. So you feel your inner thighs scissoring toward each other. Perfect. And make sure that the outside edge of your back foot is flat on the mat. Your feet can be as wide as you need it to be. They can be close together. It can be far apart. So however you need to have the feet in order to have your hips kind of go like as headlights in a straight line in front of you. Perfect. And same thing as what we were doing when we were standing up. Try to keep your posture the same. So you want your tailbone tucking down slightly, navel pulling in, noticing if the ribs are flaring, keeping them tucked under, shoulders neutral. Awesome. And one more breath here. And then slowly reach into the ground with your front foot, letting that straighten out your front leg. And then leading with your heart, just like in forward fold, will hinge and come into a pyramid pose. So you can stay with the like in a half lift kind of position, or you can bring your hands down to frame your front foot. We're stretching out our right hamstring. Perfect. And noticing when you do this, if your right hip comes forward, and just keep pulling your right hip back. So staying with that scissoring action in mind, maybe adjusting your feet if you need to. You could step your feet, I think, a little bit closer together, Mom. Yeah, blocks. Blocks are nice here. Let's be here for a few more breaths. Really breathe into that right hamstring. Feel the distance from the heel through the back of the leg and the hip. Awesome. And then we'll add a little twist here. So you can leave your left hand where it is and bring your right hand back to your sacrum first and just feel that this is flat. You should be able to like rest a glass of water here. If you can't, you can widen your stance. You can bring them closer together and then start to peel your heart open, stacking your right shoulder more on top of the left, reaching the right fingertips up if you feel ready. And you're gonna feel how the right hip wants to come forward. Keep pulling it back. You can unmute yourself if you have a question, Mom. Good. Sweet. So keeping that scissoring action, feeling this down the IT band really deeply, breathing into it. And then we'll exhale, release that hand to the ground, and just step forward into a forward fold. Feel the difference in the legs. Inhale, halfway lift, just reset the spine. Lengthen the spine forward. And exhale, forward fold. Seeing if you can get a little bit deeper now. Great. So you can plant the hands down and step back to a plank or right to down dog. If you want to skip your vinyasas, they're totally optional as always. And moving through a vinyasa if you would like to. Awesome. So we'll even ourselves out. When you're ready, you can lift your left leg back and up. Same thing as what we were doing before, keeping that core tight, keeping the foot and leg active. And then pulling the knee into the chest, using your core, arching the spine in cat pose, and then shifting the shoulders over wrists. Place the foot at the top of the mat or wherever it falls, and then using your hand to get it there. Step your back foot in, warrior one legs, and we'll rise up, warrior one. So you can do your best to keep your core active during most of the class. Using your core to help move you into poses that you normally wouldn't use the core for. Just seeing how much it helps. Same thing here, tucking that tailbone down, encouraging more length in the lower back, stretching deeper into the right hip flexor. Feeling the space between the bottom of the ribs and the hips getting nice and long, giving yourself so much room for the organs and digestion. Feeling the strength and power of your legs, of your glutes. Finding that area of stillness here for another few breaths. Using that Ujjayi breath. And then using the muscles and power of your left foot, reaching into the ground, using that to straighten out your left leg. Your hands can come to the hips. And inhale as you lengthen the spine up. Exhale as you lead with the heart, just like in a forward fold. Come into your pyramid. So option to stay here for a few breaths. And when you're ready, bringing the hands to frame the foot or to blocks there. And just continuing to scissor those hips, continuing to pull the left hip back. Looks good. Yeah, always free to adjust your stance. If you start to notice that the outside edge of your back foot starts to lift, or if the hips can no longer be squared to the front, adjusting the feet however they need to be to achieve those things. Letting out about 3 more really full exhales. And then we'll come into that revolved triangle. So you can leave your right hand where it is under the shoulder and start to bring your left hand back to the sacrum first, just checking in that the hips stay square. And then starting to peel the heart open towards your left, stacking left shoulder more on top of right. Maybe those fingertips reach up. This can be difficult for balancing too. So if you're having trouble, it's always easier to look down at your right fingertips. But you want to look up, that is good too. You can look forward. So keep pulling the left hip back, feel this down the IT band. Perfect, keep breathing, relax the face. One more breath. And the next exhale, you can release the hand, framing the front foot. Step your right foot up into a forward fold. Inhale, lengthen the spine, half lift. Exhale, release it, forward fold. Inhale, rise up to stand, reaching high. Exhale, hands to heart center. Awesome. As you inhale, reach the arms up. As you exhale, forward fold. We'll get deeper into the hips this time. Inhale, half lift, lengthen the spine. Exhale, let it go. Plant the hands down, step back to a plank. Move through a vinyasa if you want to, and we'll meet in a down dog. Really remembering to let the breath guide the movement. That is a really long practice. And it's something you always have to remind yourself of. As you inhale, raise the right leg back and up. Exhale to point the toes, stack the hips, bend the knee, open up the hips this time. Just for a moment here. And then inhale, level out the hips, extend the leg. Exhale, knee pulls into chest, shoulders come over wrists, and place the foot or help your foot to the top of the mat. Back foot will now pivot to warrior two legs, and we can rise up warrior two. Feel some expansion across the heart. Back heels can either be aligned with each other or front heel in line with the back arch. Great, your gaze is over the front fingertips, feeling the arms reaching from your heart, feeling the expansion across the chest, tailbone reaching straight down, crown of the head reaches straight up. And bend into that front knee just a little bit more, getting a little bit more power out of this front leg. Good. Great, and then as you inhale, we'll fly the warrior. So you can straighten the front leg, reach the arms up, and exhale back, warrior two. Do that 3 more times with your breath. Always option to close the eyes. You can imagine like you're moving through water. Even the fingertips are active. And then resting in your warrior two for another breath once you're finished. And then we'll straighten out the front leg again and turn your back heel so that it's kind of like in warrior one legs, but your hips are still staying square to the side. So your front toes should be pointing kind of at a 45-degree angle. This is just another version for the feet for triangle pose. So you can extend the arms, shift your hips back as you reach forward as far as you can. And then once you can't reach forward anymore, you're keeping the length in both side bodies. Allow the right fingertips to reach toward the ground and left fingertips to reach up toward the sky. So it's not super, there's a lot of conflicting ideas about triangle. A lot of teachers will say that your hips should be like they're in a glass pane or something, like keeping it all really tight. I've recently been hearing otherwise by teachers that I trust. So you definitely want to keep your low belly active here, but you don't have to worry so much about being completely square with the hips. So your back hip is going to naturally want to come forward just a bit. You can let that happen. But let your goal be more to, you can pretend that there's chopsticks on your side, on your waist, and that you want these to be the same length. And you can always rest your hands slightly on the leg. Awesome. So now we'll add a little movement with the top arm. As you inhale, reach your fingertips forward, get long, perfect. And then as you exhale, reach the fingertips up and then back behind you. Great. So you can do that a few times. Inhale to reach forward, exhale to reach back. Does that make sense? You can feel how that changes. You get all of this length now. All right. And then next time you come forward, just allow the hands to come down and frame your front foot. You can lift the back heel, step back to a plank, move through a vinyasa if you want, and we'll meet in our down dog. Let it go. As you arrive, big exhales. Maybe fluttering the lips. We have one more side, and then we'll do a balancing pose and then start to cool down. So when you're ready, you can inhale left leg back and up, and exhale to point the toes, stack the hips, bend the knee. Awesome. Inhale, level out the hips and straighten the leg. And exhale, knee pulls into chest using the core, and you step the foot or place the foot at the top of the mat. Awesome. And rise up to your warrior two on this side when you're ready. So same alignment cues here, checking in with the heels, checking in that even the back edge of your back foot is on the mat. Arms are proud, reaching from the heart. Your gaze is over left fingertips. You can notice how this feels on this side versus the last. It can be a really powerful feeling pose. So just taking that in, maybe closing the eyes to really just see the shape of your body. Yeah, you can start to move out the wrists if you like. That's nice. Like that. And then when you're ready, you can start to fly your warrior, moving mindfully, moving slower than you might want to, feeling as if you're moving through your arms through water. Even the fingertips are staying active. Even the toes are staying active. Looks great. Once you feel even on this side, we can meet in our warrior two when you're ready. And then slowly, again, using the energy coming from the foot first, start to straighten out your front leg. If it feels better, you can bring that, or turn your back toes in slightly and your heels in line with each other, setting up for triangle. And then reaching the arms from your heart, shift the hips back as you reach forward, perfect. And then come into your triangle pose. Great, so maybe just a little micro bend in the front knee. Mine always wants to lock here. Just kind of hurt over time. Feeling that lower belly really pull in and up. It can be a really challenging pose, so just breathing. Keeping that neck long as well, it looks good. And then we'll do that arm movement on this side. So as you inhale, you can reach the fingertips forward, feel that extra length you're getting. And then exhale, slowly start to reach back. Feel it stretch from the neck. We'll do that a few times. It's gonna be really challenging on the core. So just understanding that, being easy with yourself, using your arm for support if you need it. As in any pose, if you start to feel pain of any sort, just feel free to come out. And then once you're feeling ready, once you're feeling even, you can bring the hands to frame your front foot. And this time, let's just step forward into our forward fold. Great. Inhale, long spine, reset, halfway lift. Exhale, fold, let it go. Let's take 4 breaths here. You can bend the knees as much as they need to bend, but notice if they can naturally come a little bit straighter than when we first started. Let big exhales out, relax the jaw and the forehead. Next time you inhale, you can slowly begin to roll yourself up to stand if you like, or come up with that flat back, whatever feels best. Roll the shoulders back, bring the palms to face out, mountain pose. So we'll do a bouncing pose on either side. When you are ready, and find a focal point on the floor in front of you, or anywhere in front of you. Feel sturdy on both the feet, just like when we started practice. Start to shift more weight to the right side of your body. And you can hug your left knee in toward the chest. Maybe it just stays bent like this. If the balancing is feeling challenging today, then you can stay there. Option to grab hold of the front of the knee and really pull it toward the heart as you lift the heart toward the knee. Great. That foot can be flexed or neutral, whatever feels good. And then the first option we're going to do here is you reach your right hand out to the side as you bring your knee out to the other side. Perfect. So this, you can stay here completely. It can be helpful to point or floint the foot or flex it, whatever. Looks perfect. And then if you want to come a little bit further, you can reach in front of the knee, but for the outside edge of the foot. So you're kind of reaching there. And then kick your foot into your hand as you keep your shoulders square and pull the foot back. This is really hard. So if you have a wall, can be helpful. It's, yeah, walls are helpful. Great. This is similar legs to what we were just doing in triangle, just standing up. Keep the core really tight. The core was your best friend here. You can practice another time if you want, and then when you're ready, you can bring the knee to center. You can give yourself a break. We'll do one more balancing pose on that side though. We'll come into our figure 4. So you can bring the knee back, coming out like this. And then, yeah, then cross your ankle over the top of, or closer to the knee on the right thigh, sorry, you got it. And then you can bring your hands to heart center or hands to hips, wherever you have the best balance, and start to slowly hinge at the hips as you bend your right leg, kind of like a chair pose. So that's an option of how to do it, but you can also stay standing up and keep pulling the knee back. You feel it there too. All right, one more breath. And then slowly start to stand up, straighten out the left leg, shake out your standing foot, and we'll do it on the other side. Okay, when you're ready, feel sturdy on both feet, and then shift the weight toward the left side. And start to point your right toes, maybe staying here for some time. And when you're ready, starting to hug that knee into the chest. You know where you're going, so you can start to open up into this pose as you're ready. Really doing your best to keep your lower belly and your pelvic floor active. That's super helpful in these balancing poses. Keeping your standing foot and standing leg muscles active. And feel that your toes and your hand are equally reaching apart from each other. And then, yeah, you can reach in front of the right knee, but on the outside of the right foot to grab hold of the foot. You can even just stay here. This can be the first step, just holding the foot instead of the knee. And then starting to kick into the hand and pull the foot back. Great. And then once you feel good with the extended pose on this side, we can come into our figure 4. So again, option to just completely stay standing like this and pulling the knee back, and then bending into a chair squat type of thing if you feel ready. And I should have said this on the other side, but the other versions of this pose is to come into a half lotus. So you bring the top of your foot into that hip crease, and then you eventually will hinge at the hips and come into a forward fold here. That is like the eventual pose, just so that you know. I should have said that on the other side. So when you're feeling done and even with the balancing pose, no rush, you can come into a standing pose. Great. All right, inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, release and forward fold. Inhale, lengthen the spine halfway. Exhale, let it go. Heel toe your feet so they're a little bit wider than hips with distance apart, setting up for yogi squat or malasana. The toes can be facing the corners of your mat. Hands can come to prayer as you bring the knees or the elbows inside of the knees. And as you inhale, sink your hips down as you lift the heart up. Great. I won't be here for too long, so lifting the heart into the thumbs, trying to bring the wrists in line with the elbows. Perfect. Feel the shoulders come kind of down your back. Perfect. And then slowly reach the fingertips forward, sit the bum down, and come onto your mat. We'll do one-legged butterfly pose. So you can bring the sole of the right foot inside of the left thigh. So it's kind of like how we'd be in butterfly pose, just one leg extended, and then you pull that foot in. So stay lifted here for a moment. Bring your right hand beside your hip and reach your left arm up. So we're coming the side body variation. You can start to slowly walk your right fingertips away, maybe starting to bring the forearm onto the ground. But if you start to feel your left sit bone lift at all, just come back closer so that both sit bones can be firm. Awesome. Inhale one more time. Exhale, reach. And then inhale, slowly come up to center. We'll do that to the other side. So you can walk the left fingertips away and reach the right fingertips up alongside the ear. Just notice how this feels a little different on this side. Maybe the forearm coming closer to the mat, but not compromising the sit bones at all. Relaxing the face. One more breath. And then we'll come back up to center. Inhale to lengthen the spine here. And exhale to walk the fingertips forward and just fold straight forward. So a nice stretch in the inside of the left leg. Again, making sure both sit bones stay rooted. Slowly start to walk the fingertips back toward the seat. And we'll switch legs. So you can extend the right leg and bend the left leg in toward your seat. We'll start off with the side body stretches. So the left hand can come next to the hip, walk the fingertips away, keeping the length in both bodies, and then reaching. Maybe eventually that arm bends and comes down. Just being sure to let your first priority be keeping that length in the spine. Noticing if you're holding tension in the face or the neck or the shoulders. And reminding yourself to soften those areas. Another breath here. And then we'll inhale back up to center. Reset for a moment. And then we'll go other side. So walk the right fingertips away, reach left fingertips up. Notice how this side feels compared to the last with your legs and your upper body. Relaxing the left hip as well as you do this. Great. One more breath here. Inhale back up to center. Reset for a moment as you lengthen the spine. And then exhale, walk the fingertips forward and fold. Hi, baby. Wants to be a star. Let's do another 2 breaths here. And slowly start to come back up to center. We'll do one more fold with both legs extended. So just bring out the left leg to where it was before. And notice and lengthen your spine and then come forward. As you're ready, you can let your feet be neutral. They don't have to be flexed or pointed. They don't want to be. And just notice if it feels a little bit easier since we kind of warmed up each side individually. I think we usually come into this pose first. Just notice if maybe you can come naturally just a little bit further. We'll be here 5 more breaths. And then slowly and gently, when you feel ready, come back up to center. You can slowly bring the legs in together. Maybe hug the knees, give yourself a nice big hug. And when you are ready, you can turn the long way on your mat and come down to your backs. Move. Great. And just feeling your lower back flat against the mat. Maybe doing what you need to do to massage yourself a little bit, rocking side to side, or knees come in circles. And when you're ready, let's reach both of our legs up to the ceiling first, and you can grab the backs of your thighs with your hands. And we'll do like a little kind of reverse forward fold for just a moment, stretching into the hamstrings. You can point and flex the feet. And then bringing the feet to center so that they're flexed. Start to bring your soles of your feet so that they face each other, and then the soles of your feet so they face away. That makes sense. Kind of like that versus that. It's like a really subtle movement. It can just be really nice for the ankles. Did a lot of standing today. And then you can reach for the outside edges of the feet or the big toes or just the calves and come into a happy baby. And if you're in a still happy baby, I just want to make sure I say this, that you want the four corners of your torso to be on the mat. So you'll feel how the shoulders want to lift, and plug the shoulders back down into place. So that brings your hips or your knees to where they want to be. The goal is to kind of bring your knees towards the armpits, but toward the floor. And the soles of the feet as if you could stand on the ceiling. Great. And then from here, you can start to rock side to side if you want. The full expression of happy baby is actually just like that, how I was just saying, but with the legs eventually straight. A lot of people don't really practice that, but the option is there. You can maybe even straighten one leg at a time and see what that's like. Right? Again, keeping the shoulders on the mat is the key. And then when you feel ready, you can come into that final pose. You can release the hands and feet so that they're reaching up toward the ceiling if you want to kind of cool down the body. Finding stillness eventually in the hands and feet and legs and arms. Just noticing the length of the spine, keeping that on the mat. Letting the breath become slower. And whenever you are ready, you can slowly lower the feet and the arms to the mat. Doing any last final movements you want to take before Shavasana. And it's always really helpful to encourage the spine to be on the mat. So you can tuck your tailbone under when the knees are bent and then straighten out the legs. Just letting your body surrender into the mat for a few more minutes. Letting your goal be to release every ounce of holding in all the muscles. Seeing if you can let go. Begin to taste the inside of the mouth. And to notice any aromas entering the nose as you breathe in gently. Notice anything you see at the backs of the eyelids. Notice the different layers of sounds around you. And feel the texture of your clothes and of the air touching your skin. Begin to call air back into the body, expanding the breath to every corner. If you would like to lay longer, as always, you're more than welcome to do so. If you're ready to come out, you can start to slowly wiggle the fingers and the feet. Maybe rock the head side to side. And take a nice morning stretch, maybe letting out a nice yawn. And making your way to a fetal position on one side when you're ready. Leaving the eyes closed for now. When you're ready, making your way up to your seat. And we'll meet with our hands at heart center. And let's finish the class today with one sound of Om, the sound of the universe of life. We can inhale to prepare and exhale to Om. Bowing the head toward your heart, thanking yourself deeply. Namaste.